I feel humbled to be in this company. I've had MS for the past 30 plus years. And I totally identify with the fact that when you become disabled, you kind of hide it, and particularly hide it from your employers because you think they're going to get rid of you. What I found was my employers found out that I had MS and they said, why didn't you tell us? We don't mind, as long as you do a good job, that's all that matters. So I've been long-term disabled. So, for a long time I was walking around and people thought I was drunk. And as I think someone put on my website, Fiona very often were. I'm a bit of a bon vivant. I've never let anything stop me going out and having a good time. Um, so around about 2012, I set up a site called Blue Badge Style, and also developed an app as well. And that was all about being able to enjoy life despite any disability. And it doesn't matter what your style is or what your disability is. We wanted to give you the information to go out and decide for yourselves whether you wanted to go to a venue or not. This led me into the hospitality sphere. And for a long time, I've been trying to lead the hospitality industry into the idea that, you've got to make your venues accessible. So that's what Blue Badge Style did. And then following on from that, I with Robin Shepherd, I don't know if you know him, we set up the Blue Badge Access Awards, which was, we were very much in the same mind that there's absolutely no point hitting people over the head with a stick to try and get them to do things like make their venue accessible. The best way to do it is to offer them a carrot. So we set up an award system called the Blue Badge Access Awards, which is going into its fifth year this year. And that's all about rewarding venues or rewarding people that have taken either a stylish or an imaginative or a design-led approach to accessibility. And following on from that, Reba gave me an honorary fellowship. When they sent me the email, I thought, are you having a laugh? And the girl said, no, it's real. I went, oh, okay. And they said, what's the statement you'd like to make when you accept the award? And I said, well, my job in life is to make sure that nobody else in the future has to suffer the indignity of going through the bin rooms of a swanky restaurant to go to your table, or going down to the local crappy pub down the road. Excuse my language, I've got very foodie language, I'm afraid. A horrible pub down the road just to use their disabled toilet. And I want no one else to suffer that indignity again. It's not going to change overnight. It hasn't changed overnight, but we're getting there. And that then brings me on to a more recent thing in the Royal College of Occupational Therapists, or I call them occupational terrorists. They want me to speak about the award that we give for most ludicrous loon. So we have what's called ridiculous ramps and ludicrous loons. It's an award we give at the awards. And when you show them the sort of toilets that you might have to use as a disabled person, for example, the latest one I was given was, I think you probably might have heard of it, is Wagamama in Winchester, stored their fresh food in a disabled toilet. Not very nice. And then you have one where, the red cord is always tied up, or there's only one grab file to hold on to, or it's full of high chairs, or it's just disgusting. So I'm going to talk to them about, ludicrous news. But what happens is when we show them those at the awards, generally the venue is usually a very accessible venue that we hold them in. But we have a mixture of able-bodied and disabled people there. And most of the able-bodied people are from the hospitality industries. And you can hear a sharp intake of breath when they see what we have to put up with when we're going out to eat or just to celebrate. Because my argument to the hospitality industry is, number one, you might have spent money making your place accessible, but if you don't tell anyone about it, there's absolutely no point. Because I'm not going to go to somewhere if I have to ring up 5 times to find out if you have a disabled toilet, which happened to me only the other Sunday. You have to advertise it. You also have to, accessibility isn't just about wheelchair users. Although the needs of wheelchair users meets a lot of people's needs. It's not just about wheelchairs, it's about neurodiverse. It's about loss of sight, loss of hearing. And even today, I went to the most accessible hotel I know, and I said to them, do you realize you've got a really zany sort of carpet and you've got a wall covering that's totally geometric and it's quite loud? And I said, have one or the other, but don't have both, particularly if you're going to have someone who might have, mental health issues or is neurodiverse or whatever. It's just too busy. And they said, oh, we never thought of that. And I thought, oh my goodness, have you not learned anything? So that's really what I'm about. And I'm quite interested to hear what Nick was saying, because we develop access galleries for hotels and restaurants. And they really are sort of photographic journeys through a restaurant in plain English or through a hotel in plain English. And yes, nobody knows what a 1 in 3 ramp feels like until you've actually done it. So I'll just sort of say, if I'm sort of a certain age, I can propel my own wheelchair, I can get up the ramp, or no, I can't. So I give that sort of experience. And again, we're trying to include virtual reality in that as well. And that's all I want to say, really. I'm kind of leading the hospitality. I'm not necessarily a leader, but I'm leading the hospitality industry into the 22nd century.